now.
It is currently 6 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this public outreach meeting hosted by Charities Housing in conjunction with the City of Santa Clara. My name is Hai Nguyen. I am the project manager for Charities Housing. Along with me, I have Kathy Robinson, who is the Director of Housing Development, as well as Joe Head, who is a business development personnel. And Debbie, we also have Debbie Fernandez. She is the Santa Clara staff personnel from the planning department. She is the associate planner. And we also have Gloria Sierra, I believe, also from the planning staff. Debbie and Gloria, do you have anything else to add?
Not right now. Thank you.
Debbie, would you be able to continue communicating to the public about the notice and the procedures, please?
Sure. So before you should all be able to see the meeting agenda. We'll go into introduction. Well, we just went into introductions, excuse me. The applicant will then, actually I will, go through a brief explanation of the meeting procedures. Charities Housing will then provide the presentation on the proposed development at 1601 Civic Center. And then we'll move to public questions and comments. As for your information, this public outreach meeting is being recorded for documentation purposes. For those who are unable to attend or would like additional information, please feel free to reach out to the project representative or city staff. That would be myself at the contact information below at the bottom of the agenda. And the procedure for tonight is, in order to be able to participate, is you will raise your hand and using the icon, and you will be asked to speak according to the order that your request was received. Only one attendee can speak at a time. Once the question or comment has been communicated, the attendees will be muted out of respect for the next person requesting to speak. For those attending via phone, please press 9 to indicate that you'd like to speak, and then you will be connected.
Debbie, it's actually *9.
Oh, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, if they want to speak,
error.
they have to do the *9 if you're calling in by phone only.
Thank you for that clarification, Gloria. Okay, so for those who were unable to communicate their questions or comments due to time constraints, as this meeting will have to conclude at 7 p.m., or there's technical issues, please feel free to send your questions or comments to myself or to the project representatives. And I will be posting this presentation. It is a webinar, so the audio as well as the PowerPoint presentation on the city's website for this particular project, so the project page, will be uploaded to provide this information that you are seeing and or hearing tonight. So Mike, Hai Nguyen's contact information here is nguyen@charitieshousing.org. My information is D Fernandez @santaclaraca.gov. And at that, I will stop sharing the screen and turn it over to Hai for the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathy Robinson, as Hy mentioned, and I will be presenting the first part of our discussion this evening, which really is going to be comprised of some background information on who Charities Housing is and some of our developments that we have completed thus far. So Charities Housing is a nonprofit housing development corporation. We were incorporated in 1993 as an outgrowth of Catholic Charities, which many of you may know is a very large nonprofit service provider. They've been in business about 60 years in Santa Clara County. And our mission is to develop, preserve, own, and manage affordable housing for low-income individuals and their families. We, as a nonprofit, we focus primarily on families and individuals who are at the lowest end of the affordability range and people with special needs. And special needs can range from everything from developmental disabilities to physical disabilities, survivors of domestic violence and their children. So Charities Housing has been in business almost 30 years. Over that time, we've developed about 28 communities, around 1,500 affordable units. And currently we have, currently we have 3 properties that are under construction, which will generate another 253 units. And we have another approximately 1,500 units in our pipeline, developments that we will be building over the next 5 to 10 years. As I mentioned, we try to serve people at the lowest end of the affordability spectrum. So as you can see, the families and individuals we focus on are people really who earn 50% and less of the area median income. And just to give you an example of who those folks might be, it's people who support the Santa Clara community and you see every day. It's people in retail, it's people who work in restaurants, fast food workers, childcare providers. As you can see that down at the bottom, we note that a full-time City of Santa Clara person who earns minimum wage qualifies to live in our developments. They earn approximately $32,000 a year. So we focus on the people who really provide the underlying support for everyone who lives in the City of Santa Clara. This next couple of slides are really just intended to convey a little bit of information about the need for affordable housing. In the City of Santa Clara, as in all of the communities in the County of Santa Clara and statewide, the state of California tries to predict, maybe the wrong word, but tries to set a standard for how many affordable housing units are needed based on census data that they have. And as you can see in this slide, in the time period between 2015 and 2015 and 2022, the regional housing need assigned to the City of Santa Clara for people earning less than 80% of median income was almost 1,800 units. But unfortunately, only about 342 units were permitted. And in years and in the next time designation for RENA numbers, the number of units that are going to be needed just grows exponentially because of the great need in our community. Sorry, Hy, go ahead. And this slide is just intended to say that the development that we're proposing will serve folks in that extremely low and very low income range. And as you can see, the RENA target for 2015 to 2022 was a little over 1,000 units. 168 were permitted, and our development is planning to build 106. This is just a visual, a map to show folks where our developments are located. Charities Housing is really focused on providing homes in Santa Clara County. So you can see that we have communities from as far north as Mountain View and as far south as South San Jose. Charities Housing has actually been a neighbor of yours in Santa Clara for almost 30 years. We currently own and manage 3 developments in the city of Santa Clara right now. The Westwood Ambassador development is over on Newhall Avenue. Home Safe Santa Clara is on El Camino Real. And Bella Vita Senior Housing is on Main Street, just not too far from our proposed 1601 Civic Center site. This is just to give you a little bit of a visual of these 3 developments that are in Santa Clara. This is Bella Vita. It's a senior housing development. It was built in 2009, and it serves low-income seniors ages 62 and above. And their affordability is 30 to 60% area median income. This is the Westwood Ambassador. This is one of our older developments that we actually purchased from a for-profit developer who was going to sell it. And the affordable units in this community would have been lost. We've owned this nearly 30 years, and we are currently in the process of spending about $6 million to upgrade the property so that it lasts for another 30 years and to enhance the quality of life for the folks who live there. And this is Home Safe Santa Clara. This was completed in 2002. This is a small community of housing for survivors of domestic violence and their children. It's over near the police department on El Camino Real. And I'm just going to run through a few of our other developments that we own and manage. This is Met North and South. This was a 2-phase development. It's family housing. So it ranges, those unit sizes range from studios to 3-bedroom apartments. And this is over on Monterey Road in San Jose. This is Parkside Studios. It's in the city of Sunnyvale on Wolf Road. This is an interesting development in that this was the first affordable housing development that used modular construction in Santa Clara County, in Northern California, actually. So that little picture in the lower right-hand corner is showing them lifting one of the modular units onto the podium structure. This is King's Crossing. This is also a family development. It's on King Road in San Jose. It's not too far from the new Berryessa BART station. So it was a prime location for folks to live where they had great access to transportation. This is the veranda. This is in Cupertino. Just completed a couple of years ago. This was built for seniors 62 and over. And it was the first development in Santa Clara County that was funded with Measure A funding. And I think this is the last one. This is San Antonio Place. This is in Mountain View on San Antonio Road, 120 studio apartments. And it serves folks at 30 to 60% AMI. It's built on some property that was owned by the city of Mountain View and that we actually share with another nonprofit user, which is the Community School of Art and Music. So our folks often get to take advantage of some of the programs that are run by that great organization as well. I'll turn it back to Hai to talk about the development at 1601 Civic Center.
Thank you, Kathy. And we would like to introduce our subject property that we'd like to develop at this time. It is located at 1601 Civic Center. As some of you who are already in the community, this may look familiar. This is the existing building is a 2-story office building. To the left here in the image, and if you and to the right here is essentially the landscape area that leads into the city hall, the city of Santa Clara City Hall. The property is a 1.4 acre, and it has been and the office property itself, the building itself, it has been vacant since 2017. When it comes to affordable housing sites, when it comes to selections, Charities Housing has a very specific criteria of site amenities, that are very similar and align with the state treasury's department's requirement for tax credit projects. The actual committee within the state treasury department is actually called TCAC, or Tax Credit Allocation Committee. And this committee, they have a requirement for site amenities, including close proximity within half-a-mile radius to neighborhood amenities, including public transportation, schools, parks, library, pharmacies, or medical facilities, large-scale supermarkets, and among other requirements. Therefore, with this property here, we feel it's perfectly situated for easy access to many of those required amenities, including the Civic Center Park, which is essentially right across the street. There's also a Rotary Park that's right behind the Triton Museum. Schools nearby includes the Scott Lane Elementary School and the Wilson Preschool and High Schools. Major public transportation sources include bus stops at El Camino and Scott, as well as the Warburton Monroe. They serve frequent routes as well as rapid routes. And if in the lower left hand here, there's a large shopping center which includes pharmacies of Walgreens and CVS, as well as Targets and Sprouts supermarket. And then to dive into a little bit more detail about the project within itself, it's intended to design to be for families and the community. Charities currently proposing a 5-story, 56 feet high residential building that consists of 106 total homes, which includes 1 management staff unit. The 106 units represent a density of 75.2 dwelling units per acre. There will be 72 parking spaces provided, which is higher than the 53 parking spaces that's required by the state density bonus law that is afforded to the affordable housing developments. There will also be 4 EV charging spaces as required by the city of Santa Clara. Additionally, there will be a total of about 17,000 square foot of outdoor spaces, including residents' courtyard and the front court landscape area, which can be accessed by residents and community members who are looking to take a short break or enjoy the outdoors. And other features include, if you can see in this orange area here, it will be a bike storage parking area. We are trying to provide up to 1-to-1 ratio of secure bicycle parking. We recognize that electric bicycle may be more prevalent in the future for those who can't afford cars. And so we are attempting to integrate electrical outlets in the bicycle storage room. There will also be in this lower right portion of the plan here, We will incorporate about 1,600 square feet of community room that will be fully furnished with tables and chairs, as well as fully kitchen and pantry for resident and community use. For example, if a nearby homeowner association or neighborhood association would like to use this community room for their monthly meetings or so forth, all they need to do is reach out to our property management staff and reserve the room for such use. And additionally, there will be a heat treatment room up here. The idea is that the heat treatment room will be accessed from the exterior of the building in order to help with pest control if such issues arise. There will be adequate on-site laundry. 100% of the homes are universally designed for ADA adaptability in case a residence requires such modification. And as part of the sustainability strategy, we will go into which we will go further into a little bit further. The building, this building is designed to comply with the REACH code to reduce carbon emission, as this building will be 100% electric with solar panels to offset common areas. For the past year and a half, Charities has been closely following the Planning Commission and City Council meetings as it relates to the El Camino Real specific plan, which our property falls within that specific plan. While listening to the City Council members as well as the public comments, Charities has realized that there are certain community burning issues, including density, height, privacy, and open space. As an organization who looks to be well integrated into the community for the long haul, as well as being a responsible developer, we listened intensely and took those community comments into heavy consideration as it relates to our proposed development, but also making a decision that strikes a balance to fulfill our organization's overall mission, which is to build affordable housing that is very needed in our region. As some of you may know, Charities has submitted previous concept to the city of Santa Clara back in 2020. And as you can see in this table, comparing previous 2020 concepts to the current 2021 concept, we decided to eliminate one story and reducing the height from 67 feet to 56 feet. This decision allows the building to reduce the total unit count from as high as 119 units down to 106 units, which also reduces the density that was a concern to the community members. Additionally, we decided to increase the open space in the courtyard and the front court while including private balcony in every unit. Please let it be known that these decisions were not taken very lightly, but we felt that we need to take the initiative to make these drastic modifications to show that we are listening and willing to work with the communities, because Charities is seeking to become a long-term partner in the community. Furthermore, as it relates to privacy, we decided to pull back the proposed building as far as 65 feet from the property line to provide as much privacy as possible to the adjacent neighbors. If you look at the bottom graphic, the existing two-story office building is abutting right next to the adjacent neighbors. As it currently stands, there's an existing two-story office building very much intrudes into the 45-degree setback plane, while if you look at the top diagram, the currently proposed 5-story residential building does not intrude into that 45-degree plane. As a matter of fact, it has plenty of height space to spare, which is the result of eliminating the 1-story from the top. And lastly, as it relates to privacy, community members are worried that higher development may introduce more shadows onto their properties, which would reduce the amount of sunlight they currently enjoy. As you can see in this graphic, which is showing the worst case scenario of shadow impact onto adjacent neighbors. And what you're looking at is the very early morning hours between 8 to 10 a.m. Our analysis shows on these dotted magenta lines that the darker shades of gray shows no further impacts than what the current 2-story office building is impacting as of now. Other times throughout the day, the shadow analysis show no impacts, as all the shadows are pivoting and projecting towards Lincoln Avenue and City Hall. As previously mentioned, this building looks to comply with the new REACH code, which includes all electric building that helps to reduce emission. Solar panels will be installed on as much as available space on the roof as possible to offset the common areas usage. All appliances will be fully electric and highly efficient. All finishes and all building system will be highly efficient and will comply with Title 24 and sustainable guidelines. And as you all know, our state is in a drought phase. So we are installing medium faucets to help reduce the waste in case someone forgets to turn off the faucets. And drought tolerant plants will be installed to reduce irrigation water usage. This building overall will aim to achieve gold rating under the Green Point rating system for multifamily building, which is the equivalent of legal building rating. And as with all tax credit affordable housing projects, there are specific requirements in order to improve living conditions for the residents. Those requirements include adequate play area for young children, outdoor recreational space, community room, on-site laundry, and resident services that guides residents' health and well-being, personal and professional development, and youth development, among others. For resident services, we typically partner with Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County. Catholic Charities typically provides a service coordinator that helps with the transportation sourcing, coordinate social events for residents, provide financial management education, and linkage to many other community service the residents require. And to help reduce the financial burden on the residents, we typically partner with agencies such as Second Harvest Food Bank to deliver fresh groceries once or twice a month to supplement the residents' nutritional needs. And lastly, a portion of the residents who will require further supportive services, they will be assisted by the third-party service provider funded by the County of Santa Clara, which aims to help them get back on their feet. And those services include case management, client center, benefits coordination, and health and wellness. This is a look at the front court and the front building entrance. It is designed to be open and inviting. The front court has enough space to allow residents and neighboring community members to enjoy the landscape outdoor space. The building is designed to break the U-shaped building into the massing into a more moderate clusters. It is designed to be viewed as if it is two buildings. As you can see here, there is on the right side is a little bit of darker massing, and then on the left side is a lighter massing. The connection element will be the glass bridge walkway here. It was also showing here in this image here, the glass bridge walkway. And the rear of the building is designed to be private, yet active and functional. If you look at the rear facade here, for example, these windows you see here, they're actually windows. These windows are actually from the stairs, which helps to provide some forms of visual variance on the wall to an otherwise very dull rear facade, which these adjacent neighbors may look at directly. And as for the projected schedule, as you know, Charities has submitted this project for a general plan amendment and plan development PD zoning change application. Such application requires a very structured and detailed environmental analysis as required per California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. Both the general plan amendment and PD zoning change application and the CEQA process will run concurrently. Once the CEQA process is clear with no findings of significant impact, which is estimated to be in May of 2022, the general plan amendment and PD zoning change application will be brought forward to the Planning Commission for deliberation and an eventual vote. If the vote passes at the Planning Commission meeting, then the general plan amendment and PD zoning change application will be brought forward to the City Council for further deliberation and another vote. If the City Council vote passes, then the project is awarded the final entitlement to build an affordable housing project. Please note that the community members are invited to voice their opinions and provide comments every step of the way, including the Public Planning Commission meeting and the City Council meeting that will vote on the project. if all goes accordingly to the estimated schedule as shown in front of you, then the development may start construction in approximately June of 2023. And with that, I would like to thank you so much for taking your time to listen and to listening to our proposed concept. We now like to invite questions and comments. The first person I see is Maria. Maria, are you with us?
I'm here.
Yes, please.
Hi.
Ask your question.
I got a lot to say, okay? And excuse me and good evening. My name is Maria Espinoza, and we bought this house actually in 1990. New. Nobody was living here, said we were the first owners. That building that you guys intend to buy, 61, it was occupied. People were married, credit unions, okay, it was very active. Now, if they would have told us that they were going to build charitable housing next to us, why would we have spent so much money on these houses? For what? Throw it away? No way, Jose. Now, let me say what I feel here. There should be no access way along the fence. We will not accept any driveways, walkways, or parking stalls next to our fence. The current alley next to our fence is an access point for the trespassers who continue to poke on the fence that you guys put in. And if you can go and check it now, it's pushed all the way to the side. They still go there. Anyway, you need to block access to your property from along our walls to wall fence with Civic Center Village Homeowners Association. Based on your track record during our 13 months ordeal, the only way to guarantee the security, safety of our homes is to block access along the fence, which means no driveways, walkways, or access along the fence. I prefer for the city to spend money on a park that we really, really need it for the kids that don't know where to go. At least they can play there. Santa Clara needs that. I'm running words now. Not the housing that you guys are proposing. This is not the right place. Anyway, the second thing I want to say is people will be parking there, all beat-up cars, disrupting the neighbors. Will you make an inventory of the types of cars your tenants own and make periodic reports to the city? I guess not. During the day, traffic and noise along 12 feet away from our properties would disturb the way we work, because we work from home. So how will you guys feel if you guys are the one who bought these houses at that time for that much money to have something like that next to you? Now, the third thing.
Maria, can I, excuse me, this is Gloria Shar, the development officer for the city.
Yeah.
I apologize. We have a lot of people attending, Prop 95, and we have.
I understand. It's just one more little thing.
Okay, yeah, we have 20 people with their hands up. So after this, we're going to have to give a time limit. So if you can just.
I promise I will. Okay. Potential street dumping. Right now, I go out back there with my hose to clean people that go back there and do their thing right by our fence and dump stuff there. I didn't buy this house to be doing that. And if you have people for charitable things, a lot of dumping is going to happen. And I surely don't want no drive-through right next to my fence and the building, because that's going to destroy my bedroom that is upstairs. That's it. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm very upset about this. We need a park.
Thank you. Okay, so just as I mentioned, I'm just looking at the attendees right now. We have 24 people up with their hands up. So we're going to have to, I have a timer ready. I apologize. We're going to have to give each person 1 minute to make comments, and we can certainly look at whether we need to continue the meeting to another time, and we'll take down comments. We may not be able to answer everything right now, but if you could share your comments and questions, we are taking notes and we will be responding to those, but perhaps at a later time. So if you could please start. Our next speaker is Jamie. So I'm going to time everybody, and I will have to mention when the 1 minute is up. So go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm a neighbor. So I just want to talk about parking. So our neighborhood already have very bad parking situation. I mean, I don't know what your consultants tell you about the parking here, but I live here. I can tell you that the street parking here is really bad. You know, I have a guest coming in the evening, they can hardly find parking. They have to go like 2 streets over to find parking. So it's already bad. So now you are building 106 units with 72 unassigned parking stalls. So not even 1 stall for 1 unit, not to mention that it's unassigned. So if you have unassigned parking, you know, just honestly speaking, your tenants will have multiple cars and they will take over the space as long as they want at first come, first serve. So there will be spillover cars and they will go over to the street and look for parking. So it was just going to make the street parking worse.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, so your minutes up. The next person is ZS. You have 1 minute, please. Okay, I think.
Okay, we're here.
Is this Vinny?
Hi,
Go ahead.
good evening. Santa Clara has many affordable housing than other cities. Stop piling people into one place. You created a lot of anxiety and distrust due to your lack of transparency, lack of information. Now you are reaching out, concerned with your extending community service, and we have to accept it. We have to adjust to your entire plan, just like that. And so the city has to accommodate this? Oh no. Take your entire plan, project to the right area. Enough is enough. Shadow noises, traffic, petty crime, school parking, we can name more, are important to quality of life and harmonious, peaceful living and orderly community. To the city staff, who are you accommodating? Accommodating a real community? And not a particular party. Please. A tentative zoning code update scheduled by 2022. Are you creating 2 new zones? What is the need? Is it to accommodate a plan for a particular party? The community will not accept future destruction and decline to a peaceful living and orderly community. And most of all, our property values to deteriorate or to decline.
Okay.
Please accommodate us to be one of your priorities for your park project.
Thank you, Vinny. The minute's up, and we do have a email address for anyone who wants to submit additional comments. That would be helpful too, if you want to provide those comments to our email addresses here, and we will post those on the project webpage. All right, our next person is Duanye 2. Or I apologize, Jamie. Oh, go ahead. I'm going to start your time. Duenya 2.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Landy, and I'm a member of Hilliburn community. I want to share some of my concerns. Number 1, traffic. There will be increased traffic along the Civic Center Drive since parking entrance is designed there. It will be unsafe for families taking walks along the block, especially crossing the entrance point. There isn't a neighborhood park, so the only open space activity for neighbors is taking walks. This new development will take that away from existing neighbors. It's unfair. Number 2, increased safety, incident risks, increased population population at such a rapid scale will increase the risk of having DUI and reckless driving incidents. The increased street parked cars will attract more petty crimes to the neighborhood. Number 3, lower property values. New development will adversely affecting existing property values for the surrounding homes. And I also have earthquake and fire hazard concerns. So based on my concerns, I strongly oppose this project. We need a park instead. I hope City Council will consider building a park instead of this affordable housing project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is Jamie. Jamie, go ahead.
Oh, hi. I spoke earlier, but I can speak.
No, if you did, we have to move on to
I actually spoke.
Yeah, I apologize. Kihan Sine.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. First of all, as a wall-to-wall neighbor, a RV dumped its toilet tank within 12 feet of our living areas. It happened because Charities Housing refused to put up a fence at the cost of about $2,000. We tried from June 2020 to April of 2021. Mr. Hai Nguyen is laughing because he knows about the case. So you boarded up your building for police training in June of 2020. You could have done the same for us. So all the spiel about, you're here for the long term, your charitable intent, all of that is really not very credible. Now, as far as the situation that we face, you will have 17 parking units along the driveway with our common fence. We cannot accept that. The parking spaces next to our, basically they're not very far from our living room and kitchen areas. And we ask you to move your driveway entrance and access to your parking lot to be from from Lincoln Street, not along Civic Center Drive. We also ask that you install assigned parking space in the ratio of 1 car per bedroom rented. This may require installing multi-level underground parking on the Lincoln Street side of your property. We need a green space next to our homes, free of hazardous fumes from potentially malfunctioning cars, which are basically not unheard of with respect to low-income tenants. And then basically everything should be on the Lincoln side for our safety. The driveway you propose is basically a sure recipe for a dumpster. It's not very common. It's not visible from Lincoln Street. And for us dealing with the blight and petty crime of the last year, we know that people will leave your property. They will dump their stuff for the landlord to haul away. And we have to place tons of police calls and, like we did last year, for things to be hauled away.
Ihan, I apologize because I did give you 2 minutes, but I just want you to know that Debbie and I did read your entire letter and we were not aware of the situation. So I do appreciate you providing that information in writing, and we shared the content with the developers. So I appreciate you doing that. And if you want to submit any additional comments, we'll certainly share those. Our next speaker is Deepa. Or Deepa?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My questions and concerns are on switching from specific plan to general plan. My first question is, how were you able to switch plan from specific to general plan? Now, how can you seek approval under the modification of the general plan? The third question is, who approved your exit from the El Camino Real specific plan, especially after the ECR specific plan was delayed? My fourth question is, why was this exit process from El Camino Real specific plan to general plan so opaque? Number 5, what happens if the developer is allowed to switch plans as they please? Number 6, was this done to avoid adherence to the objective standards being proposed under now delayed El Camino specific plan, which would have reduced the density and concessions you are claiming? Number 7, can you please explain why some of the funds proceeds from Santana West went from the city to your project? how many funds have you received from the city in the past, and how many funds you will be receiving in future? So I want to know the total city funds that go in your project.
Okay, thank you. I can just kind of briefly respond to that. Basically, any property owner has the right to process an application. And because the El Camino Real plan is going through a revision, there was one proposal for densities and development standards. The council gave direction to look at an alternative density arrangement. And so the applicant is just proceeding with the application in the event that the El Camino Real plan does not go forward. But in terms of the densities, there's already state laws that are available that they do not have to conform to a particular density range. But there is a general plan amendment on the table because the current general plan does not allow residential. They will have to convert it to a residential general plan land use designation of some sort before they can proceed with the project. And that's why they're looking at this. If the plan gets adopted, which may not happen within this time frame, they would still have the availability to proceed with their project. And they can certainly add something later on if I did not give enough information for you. But we can continue with the projects unless any of you want to address that, Kathy or Hai or Joe. Will we just continue with the comments? Okay. Next is Sunil B.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw Mr. Hai laughing when Kihan mentioned criminal incident of an RV dumping toilet. And if it is funny to him, he lost all of our community's trust there. Anyway, my question is, you in the proposal of December 2020, trust me, it was not easy to find for us, contains a detailed list of concessions and waivers you feel entitled to claim. Your application of August 21, however, deletes all such references. We are asking that you reinsert in your application or separately provide a detailed list of concessions and waivers you are asking for, with underlying calculations and rational use to claim them. Also, I would like to know, in the name of affordable housing, how much money you are trying to extract from city, county, state, and federal government per unit. So that will be really helpful. And the final thing is, why should we really trust you? Our experience with you in last 13 months says otherwise. And finally, I would also like to say that our community really needs a park. And if you have seen Rotary Park, you will see it is a very small park. So why not donate this land to city to make a park?
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Betty.
Hi. So now we have 106 units packed in a small area. It will definitely create a lot of noises, right? Either from people or from cars, vehicles. And actually, our neighborhoods is very quiet, and that's the reason why we chose to live here in the first place. And actually, lately, I think it's because of the homeless people who occupy the vacant facility on 1601. I heard people screaming in the morning, early morning at 6:30 a.m. Yeah, I think you should. I think that it's not. The whole thing is not quite compatible with the whole neighborhood as a whole. Yeah, it will definitely decrease our property value for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. The next speaker is Cindy.
Hi. So I do have concerns. Parking is a big concern. But again, 106 units, 72 parking spaces. As it's been mentioned before, finding street parking is already very difficult, especially in the evening times. People have to park blocks away, and this will only aggravate that considerably. We already have the townhouses that are being built in an area where there is zero street parking currently available, and that is certainly going to aggravate it, and it's going to flow onto Lincoln and then some, and further down Civic Center. I don't think that design that's proposed fits in with the neighborhood at all, even though there really isn't a very cohesive design through this neighborhood. But it certainly doesn't really fit in. I'm not against low-income housing per se. I like a lot of the building design standards you were talking about. I think that's great, but you guys, again and again, don't consider what it's like with the parking situation. I mean, that it really does lead to quality of life.
Thank you, Cindy. Next is Morteza Shafiei.
Hi, my name is Morteza. Let me start by saying that we understand the shortage of housing in California and especially affordable housing, but it should not be done at any cost. A 5-story, 56 feet tall building with 106 units next to a single family homes on Triton Court is unacceptable to the residents in our neighborhood. The proposed 56 high building will overshadow our homes. This important fact was omitted from your architectural plans drawing. Only an architectural plan including such facts can convey the real and accurate picture of the impact of your proposed tall building to our residential 2-story building. The building should be 2-level maximum. We will not accept any building higher than 2 levels next to our homes. The current commercial building is only 2 levels. A 56 feet tall building with 106 units and only 72 unassigned parking spaces next to a 2-story homes will destroy the look and feel of our neighborhood and is detrimental to our neighbors. We will lose the view of the sky and the horizon, and we will be boxed in next to your tall building, which is 4 times taller and higher than the height of our houses.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is William Huang.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I also have I'm also a neighbor. I also have some concerns related to this project. So in addition to the concerns some of my other neighbors already raised earlier, like I also did a web search about charity housing online, and just there were some reports like in recent years about some of their other properties under their management in San Jose, which had terrible conditions for people living in those communities. And it ended up being just poorly managed. There were like broken windows. There were like rodent problems. So I don't think, given these reports, Charities Housing really has a very good track record in managing similar developments in other areas. So I wonder what they will be doing differently here if they want this to be successful. And also, I've also heard reports about like affordable housing developments like kicking out residents because they like bring in like roommates or otherwise violating their lease terms. And many of those people ended up becoming homeless and have to like wandering around in the neighborhood. So that was also a concern. I wonder if there are any plans to address those. Yeah.
Gloria, could I jump in for a second? This is Joe. Just so.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Am I okay now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. As a matter of process, there are a number of people probably still wanting to speak. And if we have a time frame that ends at 7, we'd like a chance to at least hit some highlights in responses, and then maybe we needed to schedule a subsequent meeting, as you indicated, but we would not like the time frame to close tonight without having a chance to address some of the issues that the neighbors have raised.
Right. And Joe, I apologize. I did contact Debbie to see if we can add some more time to this meeting. So if you're available, I'm not sure whether Debbie was able to add the time to, because we still have a number of speakers, and if we can, it would be nice to stay on it. And again, have responses from your team. Debbie, you're still muted. Can you please let me know whether we're able to add any more time to the meeting?
Are you there?
Yes, we can hear you.
I exited out and tried starting again. We'd have to open up a whole new Zoom meeting.
Okay. All right.
There's no way to expand the existing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Joe, do you want to go ahead and please respond to some of the questions that have been raised?
Let me open it up to my associates and see whether Kathy wants to go first or maybe I should go first on and address the parking specifically, and I'll be overly brief because we're really running short of time, but I'd ask the community to reflect on our experience, and we operate family-oriented projects in the 50% AMI. So in the income levels we're talking about, and the density of cars for people in this demographic is much less than average. And the parking that we propose, which is above what is minimum in affordable housing projects, is targeted to our experience for family projects in the area. We think we will be very adequately parked and that our parking ratios are comparable to what will be required in another setting. So we think we are fully parked. We look forward to being able to have more conversation with the community to demonstrate that. But we're very careful in where we pick the site so that it has opportunities for walking, bicycling, and public transit to serve the people that will be our tenants. Thanks. And then maybe Kathy or Hai can jump in before we run out of time.
I think it's difficult to, unfortunately, have a conversation, which we'd like to have with so little time left. But just to address a couple of things that were brought up. Number one, does affordable housing increase crime in a neighborhood, and will property values be decreased? There's been lots of research done that indicates that it neither decreases property values nor is crime increased in areas surrounding affordable housing. And there's lots of literature that we are happy to refer people to, and we can add that to the website so that people can take a look at it. And then maybe at some point we can have more conversation about that.
Okay.
One other comment I'd like to add is about just open space and outdoors. Open space is something that's very important to us and to our residents. We are attempting to provide, private balconies in all units. One of the reasons why we selected this specific site is that it's adjacent to the Civic Center Park as well as down street from the Rotary Park. So open space is already, within the community, and it's something that we it's very important into our consideration, and that has been already thought of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have about 3 minutes. I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Let me just be quick. I think, Gloria, with the level of interaction with the community that it's, from our point of view, we need to schedule another meeting in a not too distant future. So, and maybe allow more time so that we can have more meaningful interactions. And I thank the community, even though it's been a little tough and pointed, we think we can make a good case and have you feel comfortable with what we're doing. We want a chance to do that at the next meeting. So thanks. And I'll wrap it up there. Gloria, take it away.
Well, let me add also, this meeting itself was not intended to be the one and only meeting. This is the developer's opportunity to share with the community who they are, what they've done, and what why they've chosen this site and what they're proposing to do. We definitely want they, as well as the city, want to hear the community's input on the project, on the proposed project, and continue that dialogue and receive your input and continue to work through this process. So we will work with the developer to identify a date and re-notice the meeting, send out notices again, put it on the website, and so that you can stay, linked into this process. And we will notify you through mail that when the next meeting will be heard. Do you want to? Will be conducted so that you can all participate and everybody has an opportunity to speak, because that's what's important. Right. So Gloria, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I received a message from somebody that we may try to continue to see whether or not we get cut off. So I just want to let everyone know that we do value your participation and your comments, and I appreciate this is probably the largest attendance I've ever seen on a Zoom meeting. So we know that there's a lot of interest, concern, and we want to hear your voices. And I know it's different to provide comments versus hearing your voice. So we do want to have another meeting, but let's go ahead and get a few more comments in. And I apologize if we get cut off. We thank everyone for attending, and let's just continue to see how far we can get. And we will send another notice. And again, if you want to let us know your email, otherwise we'll post the information on the project webpage to conduct another community meeting and in the near future. So we just want to have enough notice that people can see it and attend. So like within another week or two. We'll go on with Rick Gonzalez, please. 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Rick Gonzalez. I'm born and raised in Santa Clara. I own property down the street. I'm actually really excited for this project. I think it's a beautiful project. It looks great. It's clear that you guys thought really carefully about the height, the parking, the density. I'm actually a little disappointed that Charities is kind of getting blamed about the RV stuff. It's difficult to predict. As a property owner, I know I've had incidents where people come onto my property and it's difficult to predict what they're going to do. I actually commend Charities for reacting. I think that's great. It shows that you want to be there. I drive by your projects all the time. I know them. I think you really do add value to the community. I think your projects are assets to the community. I think a lot of the neighbors on the call drive by those properties and don't even realize the community members that they're trying to keep out are already there. So I just kind of want to raise awareness that, as someone who's a Santa Claran, this is something I consider a positive asset. So, I think before you point fingers at Charities, I think we really need to understand who they are and what they're doing.
All right. The next speaker is Robbie Kay. 1 minute, please.
Hi.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Robbie, can you unmute yourself, please?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to second some of the concerns about the housing sites developed by Charities Housing. And there have been a lot of news reports about deplorable conditions. So it doesn't paint a good picture of the developments managed by Charities Housing. So what additional measures will be taken to ensure the safety of our neighborhood? I also wanted to ask about the tracking of unauthorized roommates within this proposed community. It's going to be really difficult to track if the tenants in all the 106 units are bringing in unauthorized roommates or not. So it can easily lead to overcrowding in our neighborhood. So what manpower is being planned to track if tenants are following the rules? Our last question is, how will Charities Housing assist tenants who will be evicted for falling behind on rent or for other reasons? Although shelters are available, it's possible that some of those tenants might choose to stay around the neighborhood. And we're already facing frequent cases where homeless individuals are taking refuge in our utility closets and rummaging through our trash.
Thank you. Next speaker, Candy Fang.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. So the whole presentation, I still don't understand how the charity housing gonna solve the parking issue. Like the 106 units, I suppose they have 2 cars per family. So that's like 200 cars. And besides that, they're visiting guests. So there's a lot of issue. How can they guarantee they will occupy the street parking? And also the other question is for Gloria. What's your email?
My email address is GSCIARA, and then it's at santaclaraca.gov.
Do you think you can send it to us or put on the screen?
We can post it. Debbie, are you able to type it on the screen? I can. Oh, I'll put it in the chat. Let me do that. I can put it.
Okay. And then one more. One more question is to the city because if you walk around the neighborhood, there's no green light or red light crosswalk between Lincoln Avenue, Civic Center Drive, and Button Street. So there's very dangerous for people crossing to the Civic Center Park and also going to the walk dogs or especially at night. I live here. I saw some accidents happen, especially at night. So I'm wondering if the city can solve this issue before bringing more residents and more traffic. Thank you.
Okay, and I apologize. I can't seem to, there doesn't seem to be a chat function, at least from my standpoint. Debbie, do you have the chat function there? Let's see here. That you could type my email. Oh, you know what I could do? I could try to do it in my, I can rename it.
I'll do that right now, Gloria. I can do it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi.
I lost the presentation.
I was going to, that's okay. Let's see. I could change my name.
Yeah, my screen just went. I'm looking at somebody running on a beach right now.
Okay, let's see. I just put my email address in my name so you can see it there, and we'll go on to let's see, attendees. Let's see, Ryan Luciano. Ryan Luciano, did you want to speak now? You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, it came back up. Thank you. Hi for putting that up.
It just let me unmute just now. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes.
So parking is the severe concern. We do not have enough parking. The study that the city did took into account the spaces at the church, which are not available to the public. They do not let people park there. So your baseline study is not correct for what the neighborhood parking is. I'd like to further state that it's not a matter of just walking further to your car. People have to park in the Triton Museum where there's smash and grabs weekly. You'll see the glass in the parking lot, as well as maybe park at City Hall. Those are the only places left. There's multi-story going up El Camino, taking the remainder of Civic Center. What that does is that puts us in danger, not in danger, but imminent danger of smash and grabs. So by doing this, with the addition of Prop 47, the cops are not allowed to arrest him and take him to jail. They have to let him go. They've said we're sitting ducks already in this neighborhood due to Prop 47, being $950 and less in damage. So what I'm seeing with the 107 units, or 106 units, 72 parking spots, 8 of those are EV. Low-income people can't afford EV vehicles. So now you're at 64 spaces. So that's all going to go on the street. We're going to be in the Triton parking lot and subject to smash and grabs, damaged vehicles, and the crime that will ensue because of it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
And just to let everyone know that we did meet with Public Works. First of all, there is a striped parking program going to be instituted on Warburton, but there's also a plan for along Civic Center. And Debbie, is it Lincoln Avenue? Does it incorporate both Lincoln Avenue and Civic Center?
They have studied it, but the immediate plan is for Lincoln and Warburton.
Okay, so and once that goes to council, we can post it. I think the Public Works will see if we can share that maybe on the project page or a link to it. We did ask about that because we wanted to have that available to share with everyone. Okay, T. Kent, you're up next for 1 minute, please.
Yeah, I would like to reiterate exactly what Brian said is my great concern over the parking. Because as it is, there's no parking anywhere. My family won't come visit me anymore because there's no parking for them to come park at. And you're going to generally it's been said you need at least one parking spot for every room within a unit. And so the 106 units, that doesn't even include the multi-unit buildings. So to say that even with a lower percentage of rooms and parking spaces, there just is not going to be enough. There is no way that the street can handle another 30 to 100 cars.
Thank you. Next speaker is Ruya Zhang. Okay, you're unmuted. Can you please start? Ruyo Zhang.
So?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Roy. I'm living in this neighborhood, and to be straightforward, I do have a strong concern on the safety issue with this project. And I would like to learn more details about the research that says there's no negative effect on the community, because that is definitely not in line with what I've seen in many cities. Like in San Francisco and in Seattle, I've seen such project create a very negative impact on the community. And there's a raising crime rate and people start to move away from those areas. And I definitely don't want to see those things happening in this community. I think one big piece is missing in this presentation is that the company does not cover how they're gonna execute and manage this property to make sure that there's no crime rate rising, and what if they fail? What kind of responsibility they're gonna take if they fails? If we see crime rating in the future, will the company be responsible for those crimes? How they gonna fix the issue? I don't see any paperwork on those, and they only make promises about okay, we're gonna do this and that to make sure it doesn't happen, but there's no paperwork on what if it happens, what kind of action they're gonna take.
Thank you. We can see if Charities again can give us information to provide on our project webpage that's accessible to residents, any information about their studies and such, and we can make those available to you. The next speaker is PK Liza. I don't know if that's all one name. Sorry, but.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I submitted about 26 questions to Debbie earlier today. But I was listening to everybody else. I have about, let's say, 12 more. I don't know if I'll finish them, but I'll put them in an email and I'll send them as well.
Thank you.
The first question is, what percent of your existing Santa Clara units that you have, your existing units, goes to Santa Clara workers? That's what I'd like to know. You don't have to answer right now. I'm just going to list you the questions. What percent of the tenants are expected to be, what percent of the tenants are expected to be otherwise homeless if they're not housed in this unit? 3, why aren't you in Palo Alto where the need is the greatest? I didn't notice any Charities housing in Palo Alto. 4, will food service be provided on site? 5, what is your current parking requirements per unit on your existing projects that are the most in line with this project. In other words, the most similar to this project. 6. Okay, I emailed Debbie. That's sorry. 7. I think it's in general. This is more of a comment. I think you're going to have to reduce the number of units significantly, and or add adequate underground parking for this to work. I just don't see it. 8 is less public input. Oh yeah. Have you used less public input for this project and compared to your previous projects? That's 8.
Thank you.
9. Can I just finish? It'll be quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Can you provide any curated testimonials from your past or current, any not curated testimonials from past or current tenants of CHC housing? 10, what if any future plans for the church and or its parking lot is there? Have you ever considered 45-degree parking on any of these streets? 11, are you saying that you will have no impact on neighborhood parking? Is that what you're declaring? And you're saying you will have no input on current neighbors and their parking? Is that what you're claiming? And 12, what is the police department input on this project, and what do they have to say? That's it. Sorry, I'll add those to an email and send them to Debbie and to.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is Mike Clow. Mike Clow, can you unmute yourself, please? Let's see, is it Debbie? Are you going to unmute him or does he unmute himself? I apologize. Right now, Mike Clow is muted.
The host is able to unmute.
Okay, can you unmute Mike, please? Somebody.
I'm not the host any longer.
I've been trying to unmute, but Mike Clow would have to accept the unmute. I've been asking him.
Mike, can you unmute yourself, please? Why don't we come back?
There we go.
There you go. Okay.
Technical difficulties.
1 minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a neighbor, lived here 30 years. And my question is, I can't take my dog for a walk around Santa Clara without seeing some new high density development coming out of the ground. Is there a specific reason that we are concentrating the low income units in one location? Why can't they be distributed throughout the city in all of these high density developments that are coming up?
I think we could answer that one fairly quickly. The city has an ordinance, an affordable housing ordinance that requires all new residential development to provide and incorporate 15% of the units, of the total number of units, assign them as affordable units in new development. So they are being distributed throughout the city.
Then why are we concentrating in this location for this project?
This is Joe or Kathy, you want to respond to why the site was chosen?
This is Kathy. Briefly, I think, Mike, what Debbie talked about was the inclusionary ordinance of the city that requires market rate developers to incorporate some percentage of affordable housing. But we are exclusively an affordable housing developer. So 100% of our development will be affordable. I think there are two different models there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next is Alex Salzman.
Hello. My first question is actually to the city. Just concerned about the number of vacant properties along El Camino, including this one. And it sounds like, they're going to stay vacant for a long time. How are we preventing blight? Because it sounds like a lot of the neighbors have been reaching out to Charity Housing regarding blight for this building that's been vacant. And then my number one concern was the parking. I've heard it said that the reason that the parking is adequate is because these residents tend to not have as many cars as the general public. But we have a history of approving plans in the city with inadequate parking. I live at Boulevard, the community nearby, and we have 24 guest spots for a 27 building complex. And so that's part of why there's such an issue with parking, is because there's already been so many communities that have been put in place with inadequate parking. And we know that e-bikes can cost more than cheap cars. And I'm just wondering, there seems to be a lot of money put on moonshots like the EV spots, EV bike cages, solar panels and stuff like that. I'm wondering why there has to be such a hard line on, well, the state says we don't need to have any more parking spots, so we're not going to have any more parking spots.
Okay, thank you. I'll address a couple of things. First, about the code enforcement. Again, when I read the letter that was submitted about the problems, that was the first I was personally aware in my, working in the department, that there were issues going on across the street. We're only working remotely for the most part. We just started returning to work, so taking a look at those conditions. It sounds like most of the activity involved the police department. We do have planning code enforcement, and they deal with essentially things that would be illegal land uses, but not from a nuisance or crime standpoint. That's the police department. So our job is to look at things that relate to inappropriate use of land in terms of whether or not someone's conducting business or is not maintaining the property. The maintenance of the property is definitely a planning issue. So once we receive those complaints, they may have been dealt with in our department, but I'd have to find out with our code enforcement team whether or not that was brought up. But everyone is held to a standard to at least maintain properties that are vacant. You can't create or allow nuisances to occur. It just is important to report that to the right department so it can be dealt with. In terms of the parking requirements under state law, a lot of the land use controls are being removed from the traditional zoning requirements. And a lot of this is to deal with what's the state put under the umbrella of the Housing Crisis Act. And so there's a lot of concessions and waivers to the typical kind of suburban development standards that are experienced through our older zoning codes. And so one thing is that different cost impact issues to developments such as parking and including underground parking, which is very expensive to build, have been reduced and taken away as a requirement from the cities. It's been preempted under state law, and that is to expedite bringing on housing to address the need for housing in each community. So that is really something that we can't control. We can't override something that state legislation has basically been adopted and signed by the governor. That's
no, I understand that. But I think the problem is that
I apologize. I'm just commenting. We can't get into a debate right now, and we can address some of these questions as they come in and when the environmental review is done. I'm just trying to share a few things. But that's all I'm going to say in terms of that. There are some things we can do because there's a general plan amendment for this proposal. So this is considered a legislative action. And under that, the city can ask for more things if there's basically we demonstrate that there is a need for it and there's input from the community. Those things help shape a proposal. So your voices are very important for that purpose. Okay, next is events SVH. You can have 1 minute, please.
Yes, thank you. My name is Matthew Reed. I'm not an immediate neighbor to the project, but I live about 5 blocks away. I am also a professional affordable housing advocate. I want to be clear about that. I work for an organization called Silicon Valley at Home, and we advocate for expansion of affordable housing opportunities throughout the county. I think what's striking to me about the discussion that I'm hearing is there's a significant amount, I think, of a mixture of lack of information and reasonable concern. I'm also hearing, though, a fair amount of kind of common talking points, and my concern is that the community is organizing against this project before it really fully understands what the value it could have to our community is. Right now, there are about 10 jobs in our city, at your supermarket, at the Starbucks, at the place where you go out to dinner, that don't pay wages that allow people to live in Santa Clara.
Thank you. I apologize, but we need to move on to the next speaker. And certainly, I wish you, if you can participate in the next community meeting that we have, you can share some additional thoughts. Tom Weinstein.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I live just down the street within sight of 1601. And I just want to add my voice to the people who are concerned about the parking. As I understand it, the number of parking spaces there is less than half what would be the normal minimum for a project of this size. Also, I'm concerned that there's a driveway that's right next to the houses that are adjacent to that project, and that's going to create a lot of traffic on Civic Center. And that's also where I walk my dogs, and so there's kind of I'm just worried about pollution and just it being a dangerous situation with all those cars coming in and out of there. And then finally, 2 days ago, when I was out walking my dogs, I saw a woman squeeze out from behind the fence, coming out from the building that's there. And then they walk down to the bus stop on El Camino. And I'm very concerned that the failure of the owners of this property to maintain security raises questions about how they'll manage the much bigger project that they're proposing.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is Sunny R.
Oh, hi, good evening, everyone. I live at the corner of Lincoln and Warburton Avenue. We are a homeowner association of 15 homes. We have been here for the last 20 plus years, and we see the situation of crime and the traffic has worsened over the years. There were several accidents right in front of my property, and I reported many of them. And the traffic engineering of city has been doing the study for, 2+ years, and there is no stop sign. There is no red lights to stop the flow of speeders. And the parking, if you see, every day morning I walk by the Lincoln and next to City Hall, it's all completely packed with the city employees parking. So I don't know where the residents of the Charities housing would be parking. And one of our neighbor actually sold this property for this reason, that it's going to be a problem because he already had a break-in. And we see homeless people. One of the homeless person threatened me and my dog right in front of my property. And I don't want this low-income housing. I don't want to say that, but bring in people who would be of questionable character living in this area.
Thank you, Sunny. We need to move on to our next speaker. Reshma?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So you said that you manage the housing as well, right? And the housing is for specially able people, including mentally challenged residents. So my question is, if there's an incident of mentally challenged resident becoming a concern for neighboring housing like ours, like I'm a resident of the Civic Center Village. So if we have a mentally challenged resident becoming a concern for us, what is Charity Housing's legal obligation towards ensuring that the neighborhood families are not threatened or endangered in any way. Like most of us here have small kids. I have seniors living in my neighborhood, and we are all concerned for our safety. So how would charity housing be legally obliged towards, such incidences coming out of charity housing?
Thank you. Okay. If any of the team want to respond, or we just move on to our next comments. Let's see. Brighton Vino, Jarjan.
Hey, yes, I hope you can hear me. I think we've beaten the parking story a lot, but what's missing from that equation is this project is expected to complete in 2025, and looking at the rate at which the number of cars have increased in this road and in the county over the last period of 5 years, and projecting it to 2025 is a big missing piece. And we've talked about the low-income community, the characters of it, and putting it next to a Priya Living Center, which is an elder community, is a recipe for disaster when you bring in especially the extremely low AMI community in the close vicinity of some elderly community who are already susceptible and probably prone to these kind of activities. So I'll stop here and give the 30 seconds back.
Thank you.
Could I say something, Gloria, just really briefly?
Yes.
This is a family development. This is a development that is going to have seniors and children, and just a cross section of every neighborhood that already exists in your community. And so, if somehow we've given you the impression that this is going to be a 100% special needs development, that's not correct. I would strongly urge you not to be afraid of special needs developments, because everybody needs a place to live. But I just wanted to dispel you if you're thinking that this is a special needs development. 100% of the folks that live here will be qualified to live in affordable housing. But it's just a cross section of the folks that you meet every day at Starbucks and serving you food at the restaurants and at the dry cleaners and every place else that you frequent.
Thank you, Kathy. Our next speaker will be, it's a number 997-0675-9306. Would you please state your name for our records, please?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm living in a neighborhood here, so I think I will not agree for the charging housing because we have problem with the parking already. And I think it's not safe for walking to the street. And then, the last year before my vehicle put on the street, somebody storing to my vehicle too. So I think it's not be good idea for the low income housing here. So even my vehicle put in the street, somebody just stealing. And we live with caused by the housing here, and the fencer people streaming on the nighttime, so it's not safe. So at nighttime, people talking too louder on the street. So I think if we not be, could you guys turn to be the for the green development for the parking for a park?
Thank you. So, and just to remind everybody, I mean, I know there's a lot of crime everywhere. Certainly, I have to deal with the same situation where I live. And, but these are all existing conditions. I just want to say that, those are out of the environment now. This really isn't anything to do with necessarily with charities at this point. But thank you for your comments. I know everyone's concerned about the quality of life. So we'll move on to Neha.
Hi, I'm a resident at Civic Center Drive, so very close to where this proposed community will be built. Firstly, I want to say it's really great to see everybody from our community coming together to voice their opinions, whether it's pro or against this particular project. But specific to kind of echoing some of the similar concerns people had, right? We're adding a number of people in terms of residents at this project, which means we have associated infrastructure implications, where parking obviously is a big one. And I think, somebody pointed out the equation between where we are today versus where we'll be 5 years from now is a bit of a distorted equation in terms of the parking needs. But I think personally, from my lens, we bought this home 3 years ago and we plan to raise a family. But when I think about the infrastructure to support and raise children in this neighborhood, it seems to be going in a very different direction as I'd anticipated. Parking, having a park, I think, is crucial for the kind of residents that we have here. Every time you need to think about going to a park, you're taking out your vehicle. If you have a kid, you're putting your kid in a car seat and you're having to drive somewhere to get to a park where you can actually have, playtime for your kids. I think that's one. Second is for somebody like me, I don't have kids right now, but walking around the neighborhood, it feels just, with the kind of density of parking we have, pulling your car out, you're constantly cautious about, will there be a speeding car driving at 50 miles an hour in a neighborhood like ours, which shouldn't be the case. And so adding a number of cars to this particular neighborhood just takes away the ability to even just have a leisurely walk in the evening. So I would just say quality of life is a little bit of a questionable concern at this point.
Thank you very much. Next is Anil Rao.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So the parking situation has been raised multiple times. That's definitely my number one concern. Other concerns are related to traffic. I live in Hillbrand Boulevard community, and there is increased through traffic through our community, and I'm concerned of increased traffic on Civic Center Drive. As it is, crossing Lincoln from Civic Center Drive is hazardous even today. And adding 100 families, I don't know how it's going to be. And then in the presentation, it was mentioned Scott Lane Elementary as one of the school option. That seems like a joke. It's a really, really poor joke. I mean, it can hardly handle the needs of current community. I'm not sure where they are getting the data on how that school can handle 106 families.
Thank you, Anil.
That's all I have.
Okay, the next speaker is Eric Lee. Eric?
There we go. Am I unmuted? Okay, there we go. Double mute. Thanks everybody for doing this tonight. It is appreciated to have some outreach like this. I think this is something that we need to do a lot more of in general. And I think part of the problem that Charities is probably sensing a little bit of animosity from the community here. There has been a 13-month ordeal for all the neighbors here that goes to the stewardship or lack thereof of the property owner at present. I think the city, this is more aimed toward the city. It's like, how are they going to be held accountable for this type of situation? Because we've got, it's going on a year now. They're the owners. You can't say that they have no responsibility for what's going on site. So that's my main concern. And it just leads into the long-term question. What is the long-term plan for this project in terms of who's managing it? What are the expectations? What are the goals? And how is that going to be monitored and held accountable by the city in response to the community concerns? This is we're going to be living here. I've lived here since 2002. So I think this needs to be a part of the conversation that has not been made at the forefront yet. And those are the main concerns that I have. Just one minor thing, a suggestion maybe is that this type of conversation is like frequently asked questions or just general a recording of these types of things, because people are asking the same questions, the same concerns. It would be good to have a website or something where we start to see these things collected and, kind of put out so that we can review it in the future.
Yes.
That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and Eric, and again, we are taking notes, and we'll be kind of compilating the questions that have been brought up, and we will be providing responses and post it on our website so everyone can see. So I just want to assure everybody we will be working on that to provide responses to the subject matters that's been brought up. I also want to mention that I do see some of the same people that have their hands up for another round, and unfortunately we don't have the time available. So I'm going to call on the folks that have not spoken yet. So our next speaker is So Young Kim.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, my name is James Kim, and I live in the Trident Court community. And I first want to say that I am very much aligned with the mission of Charities Housing, but I think Charities Housing in this particular instance has been less than credible and transparent since the inception of the project. And it's really, just as the prior speaker just mentioned, I mean, it is really hard to trust anything that Charities Housing has to say about what it's proposing, about its future management. I do worry a lot about the negative implications on our quality of life living in this community. With so many units being built in an already very dense community, I worry a lot about what that means, as echoed over and over again, about the parking, about our safety, about the noise. There's just a lot of questions that still remain unanswered, and I don't feel like Charities Housing has been really faithful to the community at large in terms of being transparent again about its plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Next speaker is Guoli.
Hello, everyone. I'm Guoli. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So first of all, I would like to say that no income family definitely would need like affordable housing stay in Santa Clara, but we are also Santa Clara residents want to live a life with a better quality. So, and in addition, I think as the Hai has introduced that he has changed his plan from 119 units to 106. And I even saw another number on their website, a different number, 112. So why don't find another place in Santa Clara, a better place with your original plan to host more low-income family at the same amount of seed funds? So you guys got a lot of donations or things that from people with good heart. I also donate. So why don't we use that the same amount of money to build a larger community for the affordable families, right? You have seen almost everyone who really lives here in this community has raised so many concerns, especially about parking, right? The density, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you very much. Our next, we're going to just finish up the last couple, and then we'll need to conclude our meeting tonight. So I think there's a couple more speakers. One is Ling Chao Wu. Ling Chao.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to raise my concern about safety. I think that's my number one concern. I remember Cassie mentioned that crime and safety will not be a concern because of some research. I don't know where that research come from, but from my experience, I've lost more than 10 packages in the last year. And the second point is, will charity housing be held accountable in the long term if we see more crimes or we see reduced value? What do we do? And the third one is, I'm not sure what others are thinking, but when I hear about this project, I've already considered leaving this community. And I do really like this community, and I hope that the city would consider building a sport park. For now, I need to travel more than 15 minutes to find a sports park. So I think sports park will definitely increase our city value and community experience. Yeah, that's all for me.
Thank you. Anna Gao.
Yeah. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for giving this opportunity to speak out. So this is Anna. I live in Civic Center community, right on the Triton Court. So me and my husband, we just moved to this community for 1 month. I cannot speak for anyone else, but I can do speak for our this whole neighbor. Is because like the charity house will be right behind my backyard. And with this high density building, I totally believe that my family and the families living on this Triton Court, we would not be able to see the sun probably 24 hours per day. And right now, without mentioning the parking issues, I'm just afraid that if we're going to raise a kid here, I'm just so afraid that with all of those traffic noises, I don't think it's going to be a safe environment and places for me and my husband to raise a family here. So I totally disagree the charity house like a solution or propulsion. I do feel like that we need a park here for the better community build up. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe there's just 2 speakers left. Let's see. I apologize. 3, and then Alex Shore.
Hey, this is Alex Shore with Catalyze SV. We represent members in the city of Santa Clara, and one of our key values is inclusive, diverse communities. That means allowing affordable housing throughout Silicon Valley in every single neighborhood. And there is absolutely a moral need for affordable housing in our community. There is perhaps no greater need of what should be built than affordable housing. And I understand people have fear and concerns, but I guarantee you affordable housing projects exist already throughout our community, including those from Charities Housing, and they are integrated into neighborhoods, and they are a benefit to neighborhoods. And our neighbors who provide us services every day, who we interact with, need these homes, and we need to be providing affordable housing. Catalyze SV hopes we have a chance to work with Charities Housing on this project to be able to evaluate and score it so our members can share our values more fully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Okay, our next speaker is Robert.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. My name is Robert. I'm live the Triton Court, and also right now in the Lincoln and El Caminos, lot of the trailer, the truck parking over there. When I every time need the tent because the truck is really big. I can see that the other side the car, and also El Caminos, the car is really fast. So I don't know. So why you guys in the cities, a lot of the truck in the parking the El Camino, the trailer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kevin Lim.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm resident nearby here. So actually a lot of people are raising the same concern. So my main concern is also safety and also the traffic and the parking. And my one question I have in mind is like, who will be managing this high density community here, right? I believe there should have like an association or something. So we need to have more clarity, like how this property will be managed, right? Because if not, then it will be seriously become a problem, like what all the other neighbors I'm hearing that is voicing up, like security reasons and all this stuff, right? So we need to know like who will be managing this and how they can prevent all these things that going downhill. Obviously, we have seen some of these low-cost properties somewhere else, but they haven't been giving us a very good outlook at how they manage it, and very fast it turns up into a very big issue for us. So that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have, I just saw 2 people put their hands up. This is going to be the last of the speakers. We need to wrap this up. So we're going to give one more minute. Derek Hicks and BZ, please don't anyone else, please refrain from using the raise your hand because we need to conclude the meeting. So Derek Hicks.
Hi, yeah, thanks so much for taking my comment. I promise to be brief. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Hicks. I'm the development project specialist at Catalyze SV. I just wanted to sort of address some of the concerns mentioned here tonight about some of the parking units and just reinforce that that adding additional parking units would only further induce the need for additional cars on the street and further worsen traffic conditions for existing residents. So in a lot of cases, having lower parking densities is actually beneficial to projects. And additionally, it's been mentioned before, but a lot of the future tenants and residents of this building are affordable income. And so they tend to have fewer number of cars compared to traditional families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek. Our last speaker is BZ.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think I have similar concern with other neighbors. I think we already hear about the good vision of this project, but we didn't hear enough about how the daily operation will be like. For example, Kathy mentioned that they will make sure that people are authorized to live in this building, but more than 100 units is a big population. How could we keep track of them? How can we make sure that they're not switching out roommates without consent? They're not bringing unauthorized tenants, so that our safety and our quality of life will not be negatively impacted. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes our public comment section, and thank you to everyone for staying on the call. And I want to turn this over now to the Charities team, if anyone wants to comment on some of the topics that were brought up, just to kind of wrap this thing up.
I would just like to say very briefly, because it's late and I'm sure everybody's ready to get on with their lives, that at our next meeting, we will bring our director of property management, and that person will be able to address a lot of your questions about how the property is managed, how residents are selected, how we control how many people live in each unit, and several of the all of the other questions that were raised about property management, so that everyone has all the information they need regarding that. Joe, do you want to say something?
Yeah, let me follow just briefly, Kathy, and we'll share more details in the next meeting. But the people that live in the project will all have to have jobs. They'll have to pay a rent. It's a lower rent, but they are people who will live and be the same kind of people and have the same values that you're espousing. They want a good place to live. They want a safe place for their children. They don't make enough money to be able to afford market rent in our society, but they will have jobs. They will have credit checks. They will be responsible. And if they're not, then they're asked to leave and go. This is a community of responsible, low-income people, not a treatment facility.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, anything else? Anything else to add?
Now it's time. If you were not able to get your questions in, please send us those questions that you have, and we'll try to collect all the questions and potentially put together a set of answers for you.
Yes, thank you to everyone for participating. We really appreciate your time, your energy, and sharing your comments with us. And again, we are collecting those comments, and we'll provide responses to the various themes that were brought up, and provide more information, as Charities mentioned, to some of the operational components of the proposed project. So we will again post another meeting and have another chance to look at the project and answer more questions and provide more information. So thank you to everyone for your time, and have a good evening. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.